We made it.
We made it finally. We
Oh
did
my
it.
gosh. Oh my gosh. It's incredible.
Yeah.
I can't even believe it.
Lots of different holds
Yeah,
ups.
you
Holds
guys
up.
made it.
Yeah, great job, guys. You
Yeah,
did better than we did.
welcome. Welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. You guys look awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Every last one of
Indeed.
you,
That's right, including you,
including you.
Tommy.
I don't see a
I
Tommy in
hope
the
one of you guys'
chat.
name is Tommy. Tell me if your name's Tommy. If that's you, I got it. That was Kawhi.
Wow. Oh man.
Well, it's probably not.
Man,
Your
oh
name's
man.
Tommy, then
What is going
I'm
on
sorry
in the
about that.
chat?
Sorry about that.
Ryan, what are you talking about in the chat here? You're talking about a porn game.
Yeah, because they were talking about Cyberpunk, which is a porn game.
Is it though?
It absolutely is.
Really?
Yeah, it is. Kat says it isn't because she doesn't know what a porn game is. But if you play the game, there is no way in the game that you can avoid pornographic material. There's actually no way to avoid it.
There's the
It's all over the place.
Okay, there's a
And if
difference
you want to pursue it,
between
you can find a lot more.
there's a difference between pornography and nudity.
Sure, there is. What's the difference?
Nudity is just people with no clothes on. Pornography
Yeah,
is like showing acts of a sexual nature.
perfect. Then it's a porn game. Trust me. Trust me. I had a girlfriend at one point that wanted me to watch her play it, and I was like, "Yeah, this is a porn game." So I watched quite several hours of it, by the way, and right from the get-go. I mean, there's no avoiding it. It's a porn game.
I've never played it, so I can't weigh in on
I wouldn't recommend
discussion.
it. I wouldn't recommend it.
All right.
But you might not think so if you
Hey, I'll
are
tell you what.
like, if you don't see the sexual content in it, I guess, but
As long as there
plenty.
isn't any like lovey-dovey romantic crap in there, then we're gonna be fine.
I think there is.
Then screw that game.
Well, okay.
At least you get to kill people,
Well,
though.
you can, yeah.
Right?
Is not what I expected tonight. Yeah, sorry about that.
Welcome to whatever we talk about.
Whatever happened just now. Sorry about that. I'm just putting the warning out there. I think you're right, Cats. I don't think you're forced to, but I don't really know the whole game.
Why? Wow. Why did I have to approve that message?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, probably because it says the word porn.
I mean, it's got
because
both,
it says the word
murder and porn.
Because you put murder and porn together, so it's a murder porn, and I could see what that would be.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. We are off
Oh my gosh.
to an amazing start right here. Yes. All right. Well, welcome everybody to Don't Worry Wednesday. This is a show that we do on Wednesdays. It's all about you guys, all about your topics. If you would like to leave us a topic, you can go to don'tworrywednesday.com. Saule just put the message in the chat. Katz had put it in the chat earlier. And so, yeah, you can click that link, go to don'tworrywednesday.com, click the submit a topic button, fill out the form, and we'd be happy to do your topic. You can also, we are a little bit low on topics, so we may end up just grabbing some topics from you guys in the chat tonight. Yep, we can talk about all kinds of stuff. We talk about just about everything on this show. We talk apparently.
That's pretty clear from the start of the video, I guess.
Well, Mianglios has a question. Have y'all watched the show Bluey? Yes, I have watched Bluey.
Oh, Bluey, yeah. I've watched Bluey. Bluey's fun.
I've watched the show Bluey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, why do you bring it up? That's a good show. I like that one. It's cute.
It's cute. It's a little kids show.
Yep, little kids show.
Mm-hmm.
Not very
Definitely,
educational for me,
definitely
but
not like cyberpunk. It's a
that's
little
thank you.
different.
A very
It's along a
yep,
very,
thank you.
very different vein than cyberpunk.
hmm Yeah.
And Zay, you've got some earbuds so you can hear.
Oh, that's right.
Good
Zay,
job.
you had said you got the moon drops. That's awesome. Congratulations. That's great.
Mm.
I hope they didn't break the bank. I don't think they're not too expensive compared to like a lot of other earbuds. I think they're right in the normal price range.
I'll drop a moon on you.
Holy crap. Whoa.
Yeah. How about that?
You're not
What
just
do you
gonna hurt me
think?
with
What
you're
do
not
you
gonna
think?
just hurt me with that. You're gonna hurt all the animals in the sea because they use the
Man,
tides,
it's gonna
and you're
gonna
gonna
be
hurt all the
crazy.
human
It's
beings
gonna
that
be
are
crazy.
used to looking at the moon.
Yep. It's like my favorite part
hmm
of my favorite part of whatever movie that was, Despicable Me, when he shrinks down the moon and this guy's surfing and all of a sudden the wave disappears and he falls. Like that was funny.
That is funny. That's funny. I like it.
Yes. Hey,
Oh,
well, cool. Hey, some of those
yeah, you
kids
really
shows
like
are
it. That's
great,
great.
man. I'll tell you what, it can be cool.
Uh-huh.
Um, hey, August. Hello, hello, and welcome when you get here in 25 minutes. If we forget to say
Awesome.
so, just announce that you're here so we can welcome you again. That'd be great. So anyway, this is a show where it's all about you guys and your topics. If you have a topic you want us to share, like we said, we talk about just
Mhm.
about anything, but a lot of times what we're talking about is if you're having some kind of struggle, if you're having some kind of issue, if something's going on in your life that may be a little bit difficult to navigate, we would love to talk about it. We are not professional counselors or therapists or lawyers or policemen or doctors or anything like that. We're not professionals in any of those capacities, but we do want to do our best to be your friend. We want to help in any way we possibly can, help you to navigate whatever it is that you might be going through. Because even if you are seeing a therapist, a lot of times it helps to have friends, it helps to have outside perspectives. And sometimes it helps to just even talk about it, like even just the act of typing out what it is that you're going through. If you go to don'tworrywednesday.com, click the submit a topic button, and then type it all out in that window that appears, that in and of itself can be therapeutic on its own. I know that I've done that thing. I've written letters to people that I've then burned. Just because the process of just writing it out was the therapy I needed. And
Yeah, that's true sometimes.
because sometimes you just need to get it out, and then sometimes you just don't need to say it to the person. Like the person could never know. I mean, I remember hearing a story about Abraham Lincoln. He did that. They found a whole bunch of letters to this Union general that had totally botched one of the battles in the Civil War, and he wrote this scathing letter to this guy, right? Just totally, I mean, called him names, had swear words in there and everything. Excuse me. Did all kinds of stuff, and but then never ever sent it to the guy. Just put it back in his desk drawer, never sent it. Because the idea was he just needed to vent what he was, he needed to get stuff off his chest. But he thought about it and he was like, I don't really need to, hurt the guy. I still want him as a general, blah 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 blah, so like I don't know. Sometimes that can be really really helpful. Hey, Mialido, thank you. Welcome and yeah. Lurk away, buddy. We're happy to have you for as long as you decide to stick around. So yeah. So anyway, wait,
hmm
your phone, Baka, your phone thinks it needs to charge the TV? That's interesting.
Wait, what? Oh my gosh, that reminds me. One time
What?
okay, so when I took my computer to Australia, um I was setting it up and I noticed it was on. I'm trying to remember how it went. I turned the computer off because things weren't booting up correctly or something. and it was still on. And I was like, why are you still on? What is going on? And then I figured out it was, I have this portable battery that was plugged into the computer, and the computer was trying to run off of this battery, which was not possible.
That's weird.
You put it in the computer to charge the battery, but it's charging the battery. Then I turn the computer off, and now suddenly it's using the battery to charge itself through the USB port. And I was like,
was it a laptop?
No, it was literally my desktop computer.
Why would your desktop need to be charged? Does it not have a power supply?
Right? Through the USB port. Not even the wall plug, not even through the actual I don't know what that's called right now. Power supply. It was literally right through the USB in the front of the computer. I was like, I didn't even know that was possible.
Wow.
It's funny.
Wow. That's crazy. Technology does some weird stuff sometimes, man.
It sure does. I wasn't expecting it. But it was fun.
Welcome to the distant future.
That's right.
The year 2000.
Welcome to the distant future. It is year 20,024. Wait, 20,000. Year 2024.
Oh my gosh, this is the distant future, distant. Man. Holy smokes! All right, well, I think I got all the disclaimers out of the way.
Perfect.
I think I did. If I didn't, go back and re-listen and see if I did it. And in the meantime, how you guys doing?
Oh, well. Well, we have to at least say we're not professional psychologists or psychiatrists. We're done.
Right.
We're done.
And we're not a substitute for that.
Right.
We should probably say this is all just for entertainment purposes only. None of what we say is worth anything. So, listen at your own risk.
Listen at your own risk. That's right, because we will transform that brain of yours.
Yes.
If you open your ears hard enough.
Thank you, Saule. Saule put it in writing for us. See, there we go. Now.
Thank you. Now, yep. Man, glad we have you on the team.
Yes. All right. Well, how you guys doing out there? You guys look good. That's for sure. How you doing, Ryan?
Doing great, thank you. Doing very good. How you doing?
Good, man. I'm great. Let me tell you. It's fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah. That's the way it should be.
That's the way it should be.
Happy to hear that.
Yeah.
That's the way.
Fan flippin-tastic. All right. We got one topic. Pause for effect.
Yeah, could we have more topics, guys? That'd be great.
So we're going to jump into this topic. And if you guys feel like it, you can go to don'tworrywednesday.com, or you can just put stuff in the chat, whatever. We'd be happy to talk about whatever. Otherwise, we're just going to make up stuff. You're missing one last piece for your PC, Baka. Which piece is that? And if you say the motherboard,
then you got a lot of progress to make.
Cats ate it. Well, looks like you're out of luck, buddy. I mean, I guess, unless you want to go follow cats around with a shovel.
Yeah. Well, if it was part of your assignment, then if you go like, hey, sorry, I didn't complete my PC, cats ate my homework. It would be pretty accurate.
Oh, the cooler.
CPU. Oh, you're doing a cooler, yeah.
So you got an aftermarket one. Because a lot of times the CPU comes with a cooler, right?
Yeah, it usually does. But it depends. What kind of CPU cooler are you getting? Because you might be just opting for something different. But yeah, usually they come right with the case, I think. When you order a CPU, there's usually some coolers on the case. Yeah, but I don't know.
I don't know. I guess it depends on the CPU, right?
Yeah, not every deal's the same.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry, the CPU comes with the cooler, yeah.
Oh, higher end CPUs don't always come with coolers. Right on. I remember when the first computer I ever built, the CPU came with a cooler, and I looked at it and I chucked it, and I because I got a Noctua one because it was quiet,
Oh, okay.
right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So that
Mm-hmm.
that particular CPU doesn't come with one.
Wow, it doesn't come with them. That's very interesting. So I'm sure you have to be rather particular. I mean, most CPU coolers are the same, but I don't
Yep.
know.
That's always the fun part though, because you like get to squeeze that little goop out on the CPU, and then you stick
Silver
the
stuff.
cooler on there, and then it's like this little thing, and it's great, and then you make sure you don't get too much on there.
Yeah, that's the most what do you call it? The most like fragile is not the right word, but yeah, it's like you have to be really careful with that one. That's the one that most people have the most fear about doing.
hmm Well, because you have some kind
Hmm.
of fluid slime goop, and you're putting it
Oh
into a
yeah,
computer, and then you got to like line
and you're just
everything up
like,
just right, and like
am I doing it right? Am I doing it right the whole time?
you're probably doing it right, just so you know,
Yeah,
you're probably just fine, right? Like,
yeah.
but
I've
yeah,
never seen someone do it and it not work.
yeah. Come to think of it,
And
I
then again, I
haven't
haven't seen that
either.
many people do it.
Yep. Yeah. Just read the directions, follow the directions. You'll be good.
Yeah,
But
fucking knows what he's doing. I'm sure.
yeah, you'll be just fine. But cool. Well, all right. Let's jump into this topic. What do you say?
Yeah. By the way, Myongolios has a topic for us now, so that's
Oh,
great.
sweet. Well, maybe we start with that one. What do you think? Start with that one and then go to the
Or
other one?
yeah, yeah, we can do that. Yeah, of course.
All right, all right. Let's see. How do you keep up with and remember everything that's going on, like events and stuff you need to do and whatnot? So I'm just gonna copy and paste that into the snaz right here. Boom. Look at that. Stop. Start. Bang. Look at that.
Bang. Boom.
All right. How do you keep up and remember everything that's going on, like events and stuff you need to do and whatnot? That's a really good question. A lot of people, I'm sure, have different ways of doing it. Some people just fly by the seat of their pants, and as your life gets more and more complicated, there tends to be you might need to write stuff down. You might need to have, maybe a calendar in your phone. I use my calendar to remember just about everything, people's birthdays, like all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you know, I also there's it gets crazy sometimes as things get even more complicated. There are different apps out there that you can use. I used to subscribe to a service called Simpleology that kept
Oh
everything in
yeah.
order for me. But that was, that ended up being a monthly expense that I decided I didn't really need anymore because I found another app called Tick Tick, not TikTok,
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Tick Tick, that I still use to this day. It's like $28 a year or something, and I have unlimited lists and checklists and all that kind of stuff. And so that way, um, I always have a running list of things. But uh, oh, you think you need to turn on notifications for your calendar because you put an NHS meeting into your calendar and then forgot and missed it? Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
Yep. I understand.
Mm-hmm.
And see, but that's part of learning, right? You miss a few things and then you realize, okay, I need to make a change, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we've all been in that situation before. And as more and more things pile into your life, you start to remember, like, oh, I have this, I have this, I have this, and then it's just like I don't even have time. I don't even have the brain bandwidth to remember all this stuff. So I got to like write it down, I
Yeah.
got to put it somewhere, and then I got to be able to be notified of it, so I can remember that stuff. But I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, what kinds of stuff do you do to remember stuff like that?
There are. It's kind of a what's the word? A catch-22, maybe? I don't know what the word is. But
Mhm.
it's like when you um it's interesting like when you put something down on a calendar, your brain you that part you no longer have to think about. So it frees up space, right? So
Mhm.
you put it on the calendar. But then because you did that, you completely forgot about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, you're right. You have to turn on that, like, you have to get into a schedule where you look at your calendar every single day, or you have to have your phone tell you, like, hey, by the way, you've got this coming up in tomorrow, and then, hey, you got this coming up in like 5 hours, and then, hey, it's going to happen in 30 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. Um, for me, um, I recognize that on some things, I'm like, yeah, I can remember that. It's not a big deal. If there's any inkling of me going, okay, I'm not sure if I'm going to remember that, I immediately go to my phone and put down an alarm um, for like that day ahead of time. And it won't even be like on a calendar. I'll just go to my phone, put down an alarm, and set alarm set to Friday at 12 o'clock. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then my alarm will, I'll see my alarm on my phone before it goes off because I open my phone in the morning. I don't use my phone very often, but I look at my phone in the morning and I say, oh, you have an alarm coming up. It's at 12 p.m. today. And it's like, oh, yeah, that's right. I got something to do, you know? Um, and so for me, that's kind of how I do it. I don't know if that's a recommended thing. I mean, you probably have a lot more going on in your life. For me, if I like to try to keep things simple, if I can schedule things to be on track with other things I've scheduled, it's a lot easier for me to remember. It's like I do something every, Wednesday, or whatever. I do something every Thursday, and I have those kinds of things that I set in my schedule that I just do every week, and then I align it with that. It's a lot easier to go at. But if you have like, you're at school or something, and people are setting up your schedule for you without actually having a conversation with you, that's a lot harder to remember because you're not having a conversation about it. You're just being told like, "Hey, you have to be here at this time." And you're like, "Okay." And so for that, I would tell myself, "Okay, I'm not going to remember that very well unless it's like the only thing on my plate." But if I have like 5 different teachers telling me things I've got to do over the week, there's no way I'm going to remember all of it. So in that case, yeah, I can't think of anything but to just go, "Okay, I'm going to have to write some of this down." Um, and some of that is just organization. Some of it is creating a habit of looking at certain things every day.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, that's the best I can do for you there. It is a struggle. It's a struggle for everybody. Um, it's incredible how the mind works. I'll just say that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting how some people have really good memories on some things and terrible memories at other things.
Mm-hmm.
And like an example is Joe has an incredible memory when it comes to like watching a movie. He'll be able to quote lines from it for the first time he sees it,
Mm.
or hear a song and just just remember like lots of different parts of it. And I'm just like, wow, that's amazing. He doesn't really pay attention to lyrics, so maybe the lyrics probably don't stick with him,
Yeah.
you know.
No, I could,
And
I'll remember the drum part though.
but yeah, there you go. Yeah, you'll remember the drum part. That's pretty impressive. Um, and so it's just like that's an incredible talent. But at the same time, it's like I might have that flaw, you could say, where I don't remember that very well. But I remember weird things like that a lot of other people won't remember, especially when it comes to social encounters or things that like I have a lot of memory over my youth that a lot of people don't. I remember several things when I was 2. I remember several things when I was 4. I remember, I have a lot of memories that come from my youth that a lot of people can't remember that anything from that young of an age. So it's just interesting how the brain works. It's passionate about some things and not passionate about others, and so that makes it easy to remember or less easy. All sorts of different things. But um, I think part of that is recognizing where your faults are. So like when you notice, like, oh, I usually mess up when it's a task that is like this, or I have something scheduled where it's like this. And then you go, okay, that means I have to write it down because I'm not going to remember. But like your other things, you might be able to get away with just going, okay, I can remember that. That's easy because it's something that's a part of your daily life and you're used to it, you know? So yeah, it's kind of just figuring yourself out.
Mm-hmm.
And um, I think playing it safe, playing it on the safer end.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, you really don't want to forget something. That doesn't always, that never feels good. So that's what I got.
Right on.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, hang it where you can see it every day. Yeah, that's a pretty good one, Baka.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have multiple whiteboards in my room for different reasons. I also have a phone app, and I have my calendar, and so I have all kinds of different areas where I'm remembering, all the different things that are coming my way, and kind of like, because everything kind of filters from, big project to, then, as I break that project down into chunks, there are all those little chunks, and then those get broken down into like weekly tasks, and then those weekly tasks get broken down into daily tasks. And so, all these things kind of have to be sorted through and accounted for, or else stuff slips off the table. And it does. Like, I still, have stuff fall off the table, and I forget stuff, and it bothers me when I do that a lot, because I know, here's the thing, Myang Leos, if you want to be very strange, if you want to be weird, keep track of your appointments and be there. Keep track of the things you want to do and do it, because that's weird. Most people don't. I've learned this over the years, is that, like, and to me, that, like, I don't know, I guess I've always been the kind of person that's like, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do my darn well best to do it or be there. And if I'm not going to be there, I'm going to call them, contact them, and let them know what's going on, whatever. Right. And I can remember that, it kind of turns into respect for others and self-respect as well. Like, I respect my time, I respect my energy. And so I'm going to do this. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do my best to be there. I'm going to do my best to do it. And if I can't, then, I'm going to get in touch and we're going to talk about it. But
yeah, that's a good way. Definitely a good thing to do.
And it kind of starts with that mentality, right? It starts with the idea of, am I going to be, like, what kind of person am I going to be? And it comes down to me, it kind of came down to the golden rule. Like, I want to treat people the way that I want to be treated. How would I like to be treated? Right. And one of the things that bothers me, like, a lot is when I go to the doctor for a 3:15 appointment, and then I don't actually see a doctor until like 4:00.
Oh, sure.
That bothers me. And now I get it. I understand they've got days, and they've got days full of stuff, and stuff pops up. And that's why, here's the secret. A lot of times, if you have a doctor's or dentist appointment or something like that, if you schedule it earlier in the day, then you'll probably have your appointment more on time. If you schedule it later in the afternoon, what happens is then, like, they have an appointment go over 5 minutes, and then another one over 5 minutes, and then another one goes over 5 minutes, and then all that time kind of stacks up, and by the late afternoon, they're like an hour behind, because of everybody. Either people came late, or they had to spend extra time with people, or whatever. I mean, it can get pretty crazy. Hey Haley, it's good to see you. Yeah, I understand, Myang Leos. I didn't have a very good system for a long time. And then I had a paper calendar. I never really liked paper calendars because I would lose them. I'd buy them, and then I'd write in them for a little bit, and then I'd lose it, And then, or I'd just stop using it. I'd get all excited about what I was going to do and whatever. But it's weird. Like, when I just had a job and I didn't have a business enterprise and different stuff to do, when all I did was have a job, it was easy, because my whole life was get up, go to work, then come home and not do much afterward. Right? It's when you start putting other things in there, or, like now that, we run a company, there's all kinds of things that need to go into that, and all kind of delegations, and all kind of conversations that need to be had, and all kinds of different educational experiences. Like, I've got education on my schedule this week. I'm beyond high school and college, but tomorrow I have a webinar that I'm attending, and then on Friday I have another webinar that I'm attending, all related to publishing and, stuff like that. So, you put these all these things start going into your life, and before you know it, you're just like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And that's why I needed something. There are a lot of different apps out there. I had kind of beta tested a few of them. Todoist is a popular one. TickTick is the one that I use. Like I told you, Simpleology has a subscription, but it was very useful. What I needed.
You've been using that for many years now.
What's that?
You've been using that for many years now.
Which one?
And you did Simpleology for a few years too.
Yes, I did. I used Simpleology for a really long time. They didn't have a very good mobile feature. A lot of their stuff was just on a computer. And then as mobile started to take off and be more and more and more involved in our lives, I was like, I got to have something here. And then I switched over to TickTick because what I needed to think of something I needed to do and then be able to just type it in and save it and then have it be out of my way so I could focus on what I was doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then every day, like every morning, I kind of go through this pattern. There's this little button on there when I have all those things that I had written down of the things that I needed to do, right? And I hit this little button of like start my day or whatever, and then all those things that I wrote down are now in front of my face and I get to decide, do I do this today? Do I swipe it and, save it for later? If I do it today, is there a time that I need to schedule it for? And so there's all these different decisions that you can make once you have all these things in front of you, just these little tasks. But as far as keeping appointments, that all goes in a calendar, in my Google Calendar. And I tell you, it's crazy. I'm so glad technology is there to serve us well in this area because it seems like,
I know it's phenomenal.
Yeah. Like now it's just the more you live, the more complicated things get. I mean, it's complicated
I wonder
now.
too. It's interesting because, technology is supposed to make our lives simpler, but it doesn't. It makes it more complex, but it makes us capable of more, I would say, is more accurate. And so I think, there was a time where you didn't need necessarily all of these like technological tools for remembering stuff, but now there's so much stuff going on. It's kind of necessary. Life is not so simple as just like, oh, I go and farm every day, and every once in a while I go to the market or whatever it is. I've got to meet with this other farmer on this day. That stuff's. I think that life is a lot more complex now. But it's really nice that we have a lot of tools to help us.
Yep. Yep, that is very helpful. And yeah, it gets crazy. So it just becomes a matter of disciplining yourself to put it somewhere where you will look at it and creating the habit of looking at it. Right? So there's kind of a twofold step there. You gotta be sure that you're making that list of things that you have to do, making sure that that's always constantly going. But then you also have to be looking at that list once a day or maybe a couple times a day or whatever. So then you can decide what it is you're going to be doing. And then, like you had said, Mianglios, over the about the NHS meeting, and you put it in your calendar, but then forgot and missed it because apparently you needed the notifications turned on. That happens. I've had that happen before too, where it's just totally, something has totally slipped my mind. And what do you do then? Right? You call and you apologize up and down and whatever and try and reschedule whatever.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it sucks.
Yep.
Yeah, when I was growing up, I had I was able to rely on my mom a lot because she was really good at writing stuff down and keeping track of her schedules because she was a realtor.
Exactly. I'm like, her life was lived on appointments.
Yeah, and the appointments are going to be different every single day. And so she was quite used to writing everything down. So when I was a kid, I was just like, hey, Mom, I got this thing to do on this day. The school's making me do. And she's like, okay, yep, got it, written it down. And I'll make sure you get there. So, I mean, I could rely on my mom a lot for that kind of stuff. But, when I had stuff of my own to do at school, like while I'm at school, make sure you're at this place at this time. I was pretty good at remembering those things. But sometimes you make a mistake and it really sucks. So, yeah,
But that's how you
it's nice
learn,
to play it
right?
safe. Yeah.
Yep. That's how you learn. And it's
Hmm.
okay. Like, life still goes on. If you miss an appointment, it's not the end of the world, right? It's just
Yeah.
a matter of, okay, yeah, I need to I'll need to do this. But yeah, it's amazing,
Hmm.
we see when when we rely on our parents, and it's just like, okay, cool. And it feels kind of good. You can relax, and then, when something
Hmm.
is coming up and you need to do it, being it's there in front of you, being put in front of you, but then eventually you can't really rely on that anymore, like eventually you got to kind of take
Yeah.
charge.
You got to have a system of your own.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep. Calendars, apps, there's all kinds of stuff out there. But, and you if you're running into trouble or whatever, you can feel free to DM me. I've got all kinds of man, I'll tell you.
You
I've
have so much
I've
experience
used a
with.
lot
Yeah.
of different mediums for
Yeah.
that.
My life tends to be a lot more simple than yours in a lot of things. I have a lot less responsibilities, so it's pretty easy for me to get by without having to use all these apps. But I could imagine if I was in Joe's position with all the stuff he has to juggle, I would definitely need to rely on some more, something more than just myself and my phone
Mm-hmm.
alarms.
Kawhi, I like that. If you have a choice, try to put most important stuff closer to the AM time and less important things toward PM. That, you know what? I've
Oh yeah,
found that to be true
that's
about
smart.
myself too. It's crazy
Hmm.
because the more important things, if you can get them out of the way in the morning, then you have it feels better. First of all, because you got
Hmm.
the big stuff out of the way, and then later in the day you can relax a little bit more rather than, trying to figure out how to fill the time and do these little things in the morning before your big thing in the afternoon or whatever, right? Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, does
Yeah,
everyone
sometimes
agree
it's
that?
as simple as just yeah. Go on.
Oh, I was just reading what Mianglio said in the chat. Does everyone agree that no matter how you do it, it's a good idea to write things down? Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. The only thing the only thing that would come good out of not writing it down is if you were really training your brain to like have the best memory in the world somehow.
Mm.
I'm not sure that that's really something we have full control over, because just when we forget, and we don't really have control over that. That's how I feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea to write stuff down. I mean, yeah.
Yep. Welcome back, August. It's good to see you. Baka says, write it
Hmm.
down somewhere you will see it multiple times a day. Yes, and I hear
Hmm.
what you're saying there, Ryan, and I would definitely, with regard to what you're saying, I would say write it down, absolutely, because here's the
Hmm.
thing: what do you want to spend your brain power doing? You only have so much
Right.
brain power and so much time. Do you want to be sitting
It's
there
true.
thinking about all the things that you have to do, or do you want to be using your brain to do something better, to do something productive?
Yeah.
To come up with ideas, to imagine, to to grow, to dream, to do all these like, what do you want to use your brain for? And that's one of the things, like, we talk about, the education system and how they fill our brain up with a whole bunch of information that may or may not be useful to us, right? And then our brains like chock full of all this stuff, and then we don't take the time to imagine creating a future for ourselves. We don't take the time to dream. We don't take the time to
Yeah, we're
think
just
up
responding to everything.
ideas. Exactly. And your
We're just in
brain is
response
just
mode.
so full of all this nonsense, and it's like, now it's just full of clutter. And how is
Hmm.
how is this really all that useful? Well, I know it, but it's the same thing with scheduling. I mean, hey, if you've got a really powerful mind and you can remember all this stuff, that's definitely an option. But if you have a really powerful mind, I think it would be better to use that brain power to come up with new ideas, to come up with new,
Hmm.
theories, all kinds of stuff. You know,
I would
Even
say,
Albert Einstein said imagination is more powerful than knowledge, and he's absolutely right. Your
yeah, I think
imagination,
absolutely.
and if you clutter up and block your imagination, then I think you're doing yourself a disservice. But
Yeah, completely.
anyway, what were you saying, Ryan? I'm
I
sorry I
will say
interrupted
that
you.
Well, yeah, that's fine. I will say that like when I was between the ages of 8 and 10, a long while ago, um, I used to be able to remember up to like someone could tell me a 14-digit number in the morning, and at nighttime I could repeat that same 14-digit number to them
Mm,
back.
wow.
And I only had to think about it like about I think 3 to 5 times during that day.
Hmm.
And that was pretty good. But that was something I was practicing for no other reason than I just thought it was cool. My mom would, sometimes like in the morning she'd be like, "Hey, I've got an appointment," uh, and then she would say some numbers out loud because she was in the car driving and she couldn't write them down. Um, and so she was just saying out loud the numbers she was hearing, and then saying, "Hey, remember these numbers." And then me and my brother would remember for her. And then when she got to a place where she could stop her car, she would write them down and we would repeat them back to her because she was like, "I'm not gonna be able to remember all these things and drive and stuff at the same time." And
Mm,
so she relied on us for that, and I thought that was really cool. And that's
hmm.
kind of where it started. I was like, "Oh yeah, I can remember these things. Well, how long of a number can I remember?" And I remember testing myself, and eventually I got up to I think it was about 14 numbers, which was pretty impressive. But um, at the same time, how useful is that? I'm not sure. I'm not sure how useful that is. But it's incredible what the brain can do if you really if you really focus and tune it to something, to being good at something. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, how does that come into play with this topic? I think my point is you can get better at remembering stuff if you really work on it, but that doesn't mean that you can't also at the same time rely on the tried and true method of writing it down somewhere where it's permanent and looking at that daily. You know, I think that's been in that's been a system we've been using for probably thousands of years now, and I think it's probably pretty good.
Hmm.
Uh,
Well, that was one of
so,
the keys. I remember learning one of the keys to being wealthy. This was taught back in the 1930s, where they're like, okay, just
mm,
at the end of your day, write down the five most important things you need to do the next day. Think through what you
right.
got to do, and then write that down. And then you have your list of things that you got to get done for the next day, right? And so part of it is planning, and then part of it is then executing that plan. So, but you wouldn't be able to execute if you didn't have the list, right? And now, but that required you to carry a pen and piece of paper with you, or pen and a notebook or whatever, everywhere you went.
Yeah. Now we have.
Now
Yeah.
everybody's got a phone on them all the time,
Mm-hmm.
you know? I mean, I, I, I
Mm-hmm.
can't, man, most of the kids in my 12-year-olds class, they've got phones, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like, so, and adults for sure. So if we have this mode of technology, we can use it, and you know, we always have it in our pocket, and there are lots of different tools. Um
I will say, different people need different things. I remember something as simple as people saying like, "Don't write it on your computer, write it on paper, because otherwise you won't remember it."
mm,
And I never really struggled with that, um, but I know a lot of people did, because writing it felt was like an experience. You had
mhm,
to like draw the characters out, and that helped people to remember,
mhm,
because they remember the action, which remembers that they need to remember something, and so on and so forth. But yeah, I mean, everyone's gonna have a maybe a little bit different thing that works best with their own brain. But
right.
I would encourage you to just try a few things, try a bunch of different things. And I'm glad that you are starting where you're starting, recognizing like, okay, I gotta make sure I am capable of remembering these things, and that's noticing and trying to grow from your fault is great.
Yep. Absolutely. So I'm impressed with you, Mianglios. I think that's great. It's
Hmm.
a great question. And it's a great time to, grow and decide, who you're going to be. And the cool thing is as your life expands and gets more complicated, if you have this habit in place, you'll just ride it easily, and you'll be able to focus on the things that you need to focus on, because you won't be like pulling your hair out, going all crazy, trying to remember what it is that you need to be doing. So awesome. thank you very much for the topic. I hope this was helpful. Baca says a lot of people can't read analog clocks anymore.
Just as I was saying, analog clocks were always weird to me, just because the size of the hands are not ordered.
Oh, because the hour hand is small and the minute hand is big. So the one for a smaller
Yeah,
increment of time is a bigger hand.
Well, okay, the hour hand small, second hand big, and then minute hand even bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we have like hour, the smallest, the biggest amount of time is the smallest one. The smallest amount of time is is the second biggest. And the biggest one is like in the middle. And I'm just like, why are these not ordered? This is not intuitive. This is counterintuitive.
The second hand was usually longer than the minute hand.
Oh, it depended on your clock.
Right. And some of them didn't have second hand at all.
Yeah, some of them didn't have second hand at all. Some of them didn't have the smaller, medium, big problem. They just had like different shaped arrows. I just was like, I was confused. Like, how do I know which ones? I want to be able to look at it and know immediately, but there's no order to it.
Neon Blue has the answer. To see the minutes more accurately.
But the hour is the most important one.
Why?
That's what I feel like. Because if you know the minute but you don't know the hour, it's useless. If you know the hour but you don't know the minute, you kind of have a rough estimate of time that you're in. Like, let's say you wake up and you don't know what time it is. You look at the hour, right? If you look at the clock, the first thing you know is a minute. You're like, oh, it's 53 minutes. You don't know when you woke up. Okay, but if you see the first thing you look up, it's like 12 o'clock. Okay, so it's somewhere near 12. Okay, I'm in noontime. Okay, that's good, right? Like, I feel like the thing you should be able to see the best should be the hour. But guess if most people are going through their day knowing what hour it is most of the time, I think then the minutes. Yeah, I get it.
You live your life in vagaries, though, right? So it's easy for you to do that.
Yeah.
How many? How often I don't use analog clock. Be like? How often do you have to be somewhere at like such and such 15? Do you have lots of appointments and all this kind of stuff? It's like, I don't know. It's.
I'm just saying it doesn't. I'm just saying it doesn't make sense to me. I'm sure it makes sense to the people who have made the clocks. Just to me, I just look at it and go, that seems strange. More space between the hours than the minutes.
That's true too. You need more precision on the minute.
Oh, I see. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. That's a good point.
Man.
And I guess that's why in some clocks the second hand is the largest.
The analog clock I looked at the most,
sometimes not.
Like when I was in high school, didn't have hours or minutes on it. Oh wait, no. It did have minutes. It had a minute hand and a second hand, and the second hand was huge. It was the clock in the pool area.
Oh.
No hours, right? Yeah. But then it would be like, okay, like the one we were paying attention to was the second hand, because it was like, okay, we got to start the next one after like 50 seconds or 45 seconds or whatever, right?
Hey guys, what time is it?
4:30.
They said I could, with my background, I can make a clock. So I was like, what time is it? 4:30. You don't know, because you don't know which one's the hour and which one's there's no way to know.
It's always 4:30. Like the Spin Doctors.
Brian time, that's right.
What time is it?
It's time to do another topic.
Yes. Okay. And we
time for Don't Worry Wednesday.
Time for the D-dubs, man. I'll tell you what. All right. Yeah, we got it. There is a new topic in there I just saw. But we will.
Oh, there is? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So maybe if you want to process that
yeah,
or one of us can
talking about time.
I can talk about time.
Or I'm going to. You want, yeah.
Oh, okay. What if I don't want to talk about anything?
You can do that too,
What if I just want to sit here?
I wouldn't mind at all.
You wouldn't mind at all? It'd be awful boring.
I love you, Joe.
I love you too,
yeah,
Ryan.
But I don't mind.
Sometimes I'm at a loss of things to say. I don't need to say anything.
Oh, that's
Hey, Fricks.
That's good.
Welcome.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Analog clocks, digital clocks. We all have a clock on our phone. You can put an analog clock on my phone. Like, my phone has the option. Like, I could put an analog clock on there if I wanted.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of them have that option now, which is nice. I guess especially if that's what you're used to.
So it's a digital
which most
analog
of the
clock.
younger generation isn't. But it looks prettier.
It does.
Most of the time.
Yep.
Well.
I will say I would rather like to see the numbers rather than the hands and analog, because it's just one less thing to think about, right? If I have the number plastered in front of my face, then I can see it. Then I don't have to think about it, right? But when I see the hour hand and the minute hand, then I got to think for a second, and even though I don't have to think for it like a super long time, it's just another calculation that my brain has to do, rather than having the information just provided.
That's why I don't like when people say things like 2200 or 3100, 400, and it's like really so confusing.
Yeah, but you're weird.
I'm like, okay, now I have to do a calculation. What the heck did they just say? 2200 is 2200. Okay, got it. That's 2,200. 2300, 200 is 20,030. Nope.
You just take the comma out.
It's really confusing. I don't understand the hundreds thing.
You just take the comma out. Just ditch the comma.
Okay.
1000 is 1000, 1000, right? 10.
Yeah, I don't. That's what I say. I still have to do I still have to do the
1100, 1200,
do the calculation in my brain
1400, 1500.
every time I hear it. Yeah. So that's why I don't like it, just because of the calculation part. Same thing for the reason I like digital time. I just like looking at it and knowing what time it is. I don't want to have to read an analog clock.
Then there's military time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like thinking about that either. That's extra math that I got to figure out.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, same thing. Yeah, right. You're absolutely right. Only because I'm used to one. If I was used to the other, I wouldn't have to, do a calculation.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to another topic. What do you say?
Yeah, let's do that.
You said it's been... There it is. Okay. I have to reload my page twice in order to get the process.
I have to do this too sometimes. I'm not sure why.
Weird. All right, cool. Here we go on the next topic. The next topic is called Avoiding Tasks That I Hate. And it comes to us from a person by the name of Avoiding Tasks I Hate. I love it. I'm guessing that's another form of anonymous.
Yeah, I think so.
So, all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this topic up on the screen. This is from Anonymous. Avoiding tasks I hate. And I will put it up on the screen so you guys can read along while I read it aloud. So here we go. Normally, I like doing tasks, but when I find something I don't like about them, I start to hate everything about them. When I experience a negative emotion or situation regarding a task, I start to avoid it. If I work on it or think about it negatively, the hate is reinforced each time. It becomes difficult to see the positive aspects of the task. I then outright avoid the task altogether and feel justified in saying that there is no point in doing it, especially to avoid the cycle of hatred and frustration. I am not the type of person who is able to work under stress or anger. Advice? From Anonymous. Thank you. Thank you, Anonymous. My advice would be to learn how to be angry and work with it. And I'm totally kidding. I'm sorry. But yeah, if you've been on here, and I feel like, when you said that, at the very end, I'm not the type of person who's able to work under stress or anger. I was like, oh man, I don't even know what I'm gonna have to say because I use that as fuel, right? Like
I know, right?
Like
I think, yeah, it's clearly as a like the fuel thing is great because it works for you, but I don't know if it's gonna work for me, kind of thing, probably.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Nope. That's totally okay. And we all operate a little bit differently, and it's
Once you
good to
cook yourself.
recognize who you are, what makes you tick, what makes you, work better, all that kind of stuff. And I bet you we'll be able to figure something out to tell you. So I am
I
going
hope so.
to turn this over to Ryan and let
Good
him
luck, man.
take it. Good luck, Ryan. Um,
Yeah.
and yes, so Ryan, it's all yours, buddy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm gonna give this the best I can. First off, I do relate. I can definitely relate to this, and honestly, I can. Even though I'm not necessarily a hateful person, if there's something I don't want to do in a task, like one little thing I don't really want to deal with, it can deter me from doing the task entirely. And it's like, I don't really want to do that. Um, and then, yeah, that can compound and just start to feel like, yeah, everything to do with that task is awful, and I don't want to do it. And like, it gets even worse if other people are telling you to do it and like arguing about it, like you need to do this because blah blah blah. And it's just like it feels like you have nowhere to go. Um, so even if I don't necessarily hate things, I think hate's a little bit of a strong word. At the same time, I definitely have felt that frustration or that despise of just like, I hate this. Yeah, I don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I've felt that before. And I think part of it is for me, excuse me, restarting, restarting the loop with my logic, if that makes sense. Um, he said, so like if I'm in this position where I recognize like I'm not able to move forward because I dislike the task, but I need to move forward, I need to move forward. One thing that helps is taking a step back and just re-logicking from the start. Like just forget all the bad parts, forget all the good parts. What's the point of what I'm doing? Regardless of all the good parts and all the bad parts, what's the point of what I'm doing? What's the whole reason I started this in the first place? Or what's the whole reason this was given to me to do in the first place? And why am I going to do it?
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of just focusing on that and forgetting the rest. And start to build out my logic from there. So from that point, I go, okay, so that's the point. And then it's like, okay, what am I running into? And it's like, okay, this is what I'm running into. Then I can go, is there a way that I can change that so that I don't have to run into that obstacle anymore? Is there a way that I can go and um, either navigate around that obstacle or turn my brain over to start to like that obstacle? Can I see that obstacle as a good thing? Because, and this is something I used to say, I mean, I used to say it a while back, and I've said it maybe recently, but it's been a long time. One thing I realized about life and the things that you hate is this: you can either change what you hate or you can change what you hate.
Mm.
You can either do those two things or else you're going to be stuck. That's the bottom line. You're either going to get stuck or you can change what you hate or you can change what you hate. And what I mean by saying that twice is you can change the thing that you hate so as to take the thing that you hate and turn it into something different. Like, I hate, I don't know, like sandwiches. Okay, fine. Take the bread off, change it into a salad. It's like, there you go. Do you hate salads? Okay, yeah, I hate salads too. Okay, then, whatever. You keep changing it, right? The other way change what you hate is you go into your mind and you learn to stop hating it. You stop, you learn to change the thing that you hate, why you hate it in your brain. You change that aspect so that you don't hate it anymore. Um, and I think that that's the only two routes that I've found a lot of times when I've come up against something that I really dislike. I guess the only other option is to completely ignore it and have nothing to do with it.
Mm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
That is the other way out. You decide which is kind of like what you're saying you're doing. You're saying, okay, then I can't do anything about this, so I'm going to just completely avoid it altogether. And I don't think that that option is the productive one. And obviously, you don't think so either, since you're coming to us about it and you're looking for advice here. So, first thing I have to say is, I guess, ultimately that change what you hate. You either change what you hate or you change what you hate, or you get stuck where you're at. And that's not fun. So, you can look at the things and examine what it is that you hate about it. And then that's fine. Once you find those, I know that's going to stir this anger up in your heart. Try to dismiss that and go, okay, let's not be angry now that I've thought about those things. Let's just settle down and be like, okay, what can I change about those things? If the answer if the answer to you at first is, well, there's nothing I can do about that. Well, hold on. Give it a couple of thoughts. Because it might be like, you know, maybe it's something you can't change because your supervisor is telling you have to do these things, right? And you hate doing those things. It's like, well, okay, so you can do nothing about it. But maybe you can. Maybe you just need to talk to your supervisor. And that could be scary, but that's an option. And so you can go through those different things, and then ultimately, if you arrive at, well, I'm either A, not willing to do those things, or B, don't think that those things will actually lead to anything good, or C, I have now done those things and they have not worked for me, then move on to the second idea, which is change what you hate. Decide in your brain that there's, like, literally, I've had to do this so many times in my life where I look at myself and I go, why do I hate that? There's no real good reason for me to do that. It's hurting myself. It's making me not be able to do what I'm trying to do here. It's not good. And so I just look at it and go, okay, I'm going to be honest with myself. I'm being ridiculous. I need to just not hate this anymore because it's not helpful. And there are some things in life you don't want to give up hating on, right? There are legitimately things.
I got a few of those.
Yeah. There are legitimately things that hating is a good thing. Like, for example, a great deal of violence. Maybe you hate violence, or you hate people being racist. Maybe you hate racism. Maybe you hate, whatever, right? There are a great number of things that are worth hating. And so then you kind of go back to the first one. Well, what can I change about it? And then you can go, okay, I can try to be more involved with my community and stop that kind of stuff, or whatever. Like the government. That's right. Anarchy. Okay. Anyways, I think there are some things you can change and there's some things you can't. The truth is, there are things in this world that you hate, and you can't change it, and it's good to hate it, right? There are going to be things in this world, but generally those aren't going to be the things that you have tasks associated with.
Right.
Right? If you have a task associated with, it means you have the power to do something. But if you have no tasks associated with it, it's probably something that it's out of your control. And so it's fine to hate, and it's fine to just leave it be and hate it. Like, it's just how it is. So I would say I'm going to start with that. Hopefully I'll come up with a little bit more later. But it's okay to look at yourself and be honest with yourself and tell yourself off and be like, look, we're not getting anywhere in this. I need to stop being so stubborn about hating this, and I need to learn to like it. Or I need to at least learn to not hate it, and go through the motions of, like, literally, like, one step at a time. Why, like, pointing out the goods of it, right? And pointing out, like, it's pointless to hate it, and all the reasons it's pointless to hate it, and, like, just going down that line of thought until your brain succumbs to your new sort of established emotional response to it. You kind of have to just retrain your emotional response, because a lot of things are emotional responses. And emotional responses are habits. ingrained into our brains. A lot of times they're out of our control because they're subconscious mind. But emotions can be trained. I mean, an easy example is you walk down the street, you call someone an idiot, right? Then when you don't even know them, right? You're just like, you're an idiot. You will get a vast amount of responses, a vast amount of emotional responses and physical actions, right? And my point is, we're all human beings, and all of those human beings established those because of something that went on in their life. And some point down the road, you could interact with that same stranger and get a different emotional response. I know that because I have been that person. I remember I used to take offense to being calling idiot, and then that changed eventually over to being like, well, I don't mind. It's not, it's laughable that someone would say that. Like, who cares? What do they know? And it's kind of like points back, like, what kind of person are you to say that? Like, why would you say that? Are you joking with me? Like the way my emotions respond have changed over the years about how I feel inside when someone calls me an idiot. Same thing is totally possible with even just remedial tasks of like, I don't like doing laundry. I hate it because every time I do it, something goes wrong or whatever, whatever it is. And so my point is just kind of reestablishing your emotions and changing it and recognizing I'm kind of being stupid. I'm going to change the way I feel about this. Because what I'm thinking right now, the way I feel about this right now is not helpful. And so that's what I got, Joe. Sorry, I said it was already done, but then I found something new I wanted to say, so I said it. Anyways, Joe,
okay.
I'm going to hand it back to you.
It's okay. You can keep going if you want. I'll put it back on you. Keep going.
Okay. Hey, do you know that song? Bop, bop, da, doo, bop.
Yes, I know that song.
Yeah. Great. All right, on to you, Joe. I don't know what that was.
Wow.
You just said I could keep going, so I just gave it my all.
Good job. I'm impressed.
Thanks.
Yes.
That's it.
I remember that song. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're talking about, you know what, honestly, I think I read in the chat, Baka had put something up there that I think was really, really important and I think was really, really helpful, and that was, I'm going to scroll up and find it.
Baka's always saying stuff like that.
Think about the joy of the completion of the task. Because here's the truth. We're all going to have to do things that we don't like. That's, we're going to have to face things that we don't like. We're going to have to do things that we're not all that excited about doing. And, and we can hold ourselves back from doing those. And a lot of times the way we think about a task is going to determine how well we do at it, right? So now I had to kind of gauge my response here. You forgot you said anything, Baka? Well, hey, I remembered. So because I was trying to latch onto something, like I can't use my normal method of saying, hey, just get really angry at it and yell at it and do it, and just plow through it like a beast, because that's kind of what I've had to train myself to do. And, just getting myself angry and using that as fuel. And it seems to work well for me. If that's not going to work for you, I do know people who have accomplished great things and things that they hated doing, things that they didn't want to do, but they did it because they were thinking about the joy of what it was going to be like to be done. I remember this illustration. There was a guy that I heard this talk. He was a former mechanic, so he knew all about cars. He knew the ins and the outs of working on cars, all the different systems involved with a car. And what he wanted to do was take an old, like 1960 something Corvette. And I don't remember when I heard him tell this story. He was like, I wanted to take the guts, like the engine, the transmission, all these different things from a new Corvette and put them in this body of like a 1960s style Corvette, right? And so this ended up being this huge project for the guy. And he was just doing this and doing this and doing this. And he said it was one of the most frustrating things he ever did in his entire life, right? But what he would do, and the way he got through it, was he would, because he still had the body of the car, and he was like working on all this stuff and attaching hoses and wires and, dropping engine block in and doing all this crazy stuff and, attaching all this crazy stuff. And it'd be so frustrating. And you get bloody knuckles and you're like wrenching on a car, you're covered in grease and oil and it's gross and you're just nasty. And he would stop when he'd get frustrated and he would sit in the driver's seat of the car. And he would just imagine what it was going to be like when he was done. He would imagine getting to that point where it was like, oh my gosh, this car, it turned out the way I wanted it to, and I'm driving it. And he would just imagine driving this car because that was what pushed him through, right? Because sometimes you have to do that. Now, there are things you can do with breathing patterns to reduce stress that can help you relax. I've recently learned through dealing with some anxiety and all this kind of stuff, a technique called box breathing. I really like this technique called box breathing, where you breathe in for a count of 4 and usually breathe in through your nose for a count of 4. And then you hold your breath for a count of 4. You breathe out through your mouth for a count of 4 and then hold your breath again for a count of 4. So it's like going in a box, right? 4, 4, 4, 4. You can see that. 4, 4, 4, 4. There. But anyway, that can be really helpful because what it does is it distracts you from the thing that you're doing and it helps you relax, right? Then you can take that mentality of thinking about how great it's going to be when it's done. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so awesome. It's going to be so awesome to not have this on your plate anymore. And then armed with that better attitude, that better way of thinking, you can dig into it again and just start. Now, here's the thing. I easily overwhelm myself with stuff. I can overwhelm myself like a champ. I've been doing it for years. And the problem is I start thinking about the magnitude of things. I start thinking about how big it is, and I start thinking about all the things that I got to do and all these tasks that pile up, right? You know what I find I do the best? I mean, obviously, I make myself angry. I do all that kind of stuff, right? But you don't have to do that. What I do is just start. I tell myself, you know what? I'm not even going to try to finish it right now. I'm not even going to try and, go all the way. I'm going to start, and I'm just going to work on it for a little bit. I'm just going to start. And if I can get myself to start, then what I find more times than, not, I continue going, and I'm able to continue going. And I'll continue going for longer than I thought I could. And sometimes, what do you know? I end up finishing it. And that's cool. But if you can think about the end, think about, picture the end in mind, picture what it's going to be like to be finished, how great that's going to feel. Oh, it's not on your plate anymore. You're done. You don't have to worry about it anymore. That's going to be great. And then get yourself to simply start. Think about the finish. Think about how great that's going to be. But rather than get overwhelmed with all the details of what it's going to be like to go through the entire task, just bite one chunk off and just start. And what you'll find probably is that just doing those two things will get you a lot farther into the task and a lot closer to finishing it than if you sit there and tell yourself how much it sucks. Because sometimes, let's just face it, sometimes it does suck. Sometimes you got to do stuff that sucks. And sometimes there's no way around it. And sometimes there are penalties involved if you don't do it. Those are sometimes great motivators. Like when you're going to get in legal trouble if you don't do something, right? Like that. Yeah. That can be a great motivator. Now, that's not most tasks that we have to do. But sometimes.
So make it that way. No.
Yeah, make it that way.
Get the law involved with everything you do. Oh my goodness. Anyway, sorry.
No, I tell like that's probably the best I can do without coaching you to, make yourself angry, because you said you don't respond well to that. But think about the end. Picture the end in mind. Picture what it's going to be like when you're done. Picture, what it's going to feel like when you're done. I don't have to think about it anymore. I don't have to worry about it anymore. And then with that feeling, that good, positive feeling, just take the first step in your task. Just the first one. And what happens then is you have momentum. You've started to build momentum. You do one task and then it's like, oh, well, that was pretty simple to do just this one. And then, you start doing another task and then doing another task and then another one. And then before you know it, you're halfway done. And that's pretty cool. Right? I had to trick myself into liking the dishes. And I made it a joke. Right? I love the dishes. It's my favorite because it's hot and it's steamy and it's wet. And if you do it long enough, your back hurts. It's great. It's my favorite.
Joe, you speak my language.
Like.
Nah, the back hurting part is the worst part.
Oh, doing the dishes?
Yeah, when you have to do them for a long time and you're just like, your back's like, yeah.
There are other enjoyable tasks that are hot, steamy, and wet, and your back hurts if it lasts long enough.
Like sitting in a like a sauna, but you're sitting in with the wrong posture.
Nice.
Or sitting in the dishwasher.
Exercising.
But you shouldn't be in the dishwasher.
Sure.
But you're in the dishwasher, and that can get really hot, steamy, and wet, and that's an awful experience.
I'll tell you what,
and you don't fit very well, so your back hurts. Yeah.
Exactly where I was going with this. Anyway, back to you, Ryan.
Right? That was a good ender. Oh yeah, I do all those all the time. Yeah. I thought I saw something in the chat from August Stars, and he says, and I can relate to this absolutely. And you know what's weird? I didn't expect to relate with this on very many people. So August, I think this is great. You said, sometimes I find myself channeling the energy of someone who I know could complete the task. From that, I do my best to make it part of me. And I'll tell you, it's the amount of times I've done things I didn't want to do just because I thought something like, my brother could do it. My brother would do it. And I'm just like, all right, let's go. It's not like even a competition thing. It's like a respect thing. So like there are a lot of examples of like, I remember, especially towards the end of my career in doing inspections, house inspections, started to hate it a lot.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And
you do that long enough, you start to hate it.
Yeah. Especially with the promise of it being close to my ending. Like, it's like, oh yeah, you're almost done. And then it was like, yeah, we're going to be done before Christmas or before winter hits. And I'm like, oh, this is great. This is great. Only like 3 months left. And only 2 months left. Only 1 month left. And then winter hit. And I kept going, and it kept going, and it kept going, and then winter ended. And then I finally got to quit, and winter was a long winter, so it's like there's a lot of like, just like ugh. And I remember many times where I would do stupid stuff though. I'd be like, okay, well, I gotta do this inspection, so I'm driving through like 2 feet of snow in a car where it's like only 1 foot off the ground. And I'm like trying not to get stuck, and if I lose my momentum, I'm definitely stuck. So I just power through, and I get to my destination, and I'm riding on ice next to literal cliffs with no guardrails that will fall like 1,000 feet. Like it was crazy, but a lot of it I did. I was looking at it, I'd be like, well, I got to get the order done. Kyle's like got no fear in him at all, so I'll do it. And then I just did it. I was just like, all right, well, Kyle would do it, so I'd do it. And then I would report back. I'd be like, there we go. And here it is. By the way, this was crazy, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, don't do that. I wouldn't do that. And I'm like, what do you mean you wouldn't do it? I did it because I thought you would do it. And he's like, no, I would never do that. You're insane. Just take a picture of the snow next time and say, this is it's too high. I can't get my car through it. And I'm like, okay, fine. I can do that. That's way easier. But my point is, yeah, there's something to looking up to others around you that would do it. Even if they didn't like doing it, they would do it. And that sort of inspires us to go, okay, well, I don't like doing it either, so I'll do it. There's also camaraderie in that. I don't necessarily like when people despise something together and that forms a camaraderie where they can act against that thing. But I can see the utilization of multiple people disliking something, empowering through it together in a productive way. Yeah, like the dishes, act against the dishes. Yeah, like that makes sense to me, that one,
Don't take my dishes away.
That's actually that's a really good example. Both, I don't like doing the dishes. Young Blue doesn't like doing the dishes, but as long as we stay on top of them, they're not that bad. But if we let them pile up, they're awful.
That's true.
That's how it goes. And so, usually when one of us sees the other one do the dishes, the other one comes to help. Just because we're like, how can I help you? Because we inspire each other to some degree. Like, oh, I see you doing that thing you don't like doing. Let me help you. I don't want you to have to suffer alone. And also, just like it inspires you to wanna do the same. Step up to the same level. So that's a good example. That's a good thing too. Maybe if you have other people that are doing things they don't like, you can rally with them and work together to do things you don't like together. I think that if you're a people person, if you respond well to that sort of activity, I think that works. Utilize it. Utilize what works for you, and if that works, definitely try it out. Definitely do more of that. But yeah, I would go back to also maybe just change what you hate. Because that's, for me, that's pretty effective, but I don't know if that's effective for you. So, yeah. What would this look like if it were easy? That's a good question to ask yourself. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I remember going through high school when I hated, or sorry, middle school. I was in middle school and I hated it so much. So I basically said, all right, well, I got to do it. And other people are doing it just fine. If I wasn't myself, I would probably be good at this. And so then what I did is I literally shut down all of my emotions and I just got the work done. I would go do my homework, pretend I was somebody else, have no emotions whatsoever, and do the work. Pretend like I was controlling a robot and telling my robot to do it, and my robot is doing it. And now I'm just that robot doing it, right? Or whatever, right? Like literally just turning myself and all my emotions off and getting the job done and then walking away. And I remember that's kind of what I had to do because I was so against it and angry at it and just I hated it so much. I hated everything to do with school because I had a terrible experience in both social and task experiences with school. So, yeah, that was kind of how I got through that. And I don't necessarily recommend it. I don't think it's a good idea to turn your emotions off. But having the ability to turn your emotions off is, to some extent, a form of emotional control. Because there are times when you're like, that emotion is not going to help me.
Mm-hmm.
Switched off. And just do what you should be doing, right? Like if you like, in order to avoid violence, for example, or maybe it's in order to avoid lust, for example, turning your emotions off can be a useful thing. Though it should be selective and helpful and not hindering you or your personality or your state of being or your emotional health, right? So all those caveats. And I'm not a professional psychologist, so that should be stated too. But yeah, those, I mean, just those are some finishing thoughts. Joe, do you have anything else you want to end on?
Not really. I think you covered it well. So, Anonymous, I really appreciate the topic, and hopefully some of that was helpful. I know the chat was very helpful for me. So if you go back and read some of the advice that people have in there and go back and listen to what Ryan said, that would be awesome. So, yeah. But yeah, it is one of those things. You know, you're never going to escape a life where you just don't have to how do I put this? I'm putting too many negatives in there.
A triple negative is a what is it's a negative.
Single, yeah, exactly. Like there's always going to be stuff you don't want to do in this life. There's always going to be stuff that is frustrating to do. There's always going to be something, right? That's just part of what we deal with. And you know, how if we can change our thinking around it, that can make a really, really big impact. So, yeah. So thank you, Anonymous. And hopefully that's helpful. So,
yeah, there's never not going to be nothing that doesn't make you feel like something you don't want.
Exactly.
Double check
what
me
Ryan
on that
said,
work.
I don't know.
If anyone was listening to that.
All right. Cool. So thank you. And yeah, we got time for one more. What do you say?
Yeah.
This comes from Yep, I'm Here
great.
Tonight.
Whoa. Most excellent.
Yeah, and it's called Showing Concern. And this actually looks like I haven't even read it yet, but just like it looks like a good one.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's fair.
There we go. Wait. Okay, there we go. I figured it out. All right, so I'm going to put this up on the screen, and then you guys can read along. So here we go. This is from Yep, I'm Here Tonight, and it is called Showing Concern, and it reads like this. How to show concern for someone without doting or being clingy or annoying. This could be about any sort of concern for someone, but I thought of this when my mom had to go to the hospital in the middle of the night about a week ago. She is fine now, by the way. And that is from, I'm just going to call you Anonymous. But how to show concern for someone without doting or being clingy or annoying. And this is definitely interesting. It can be interesting. Now, a lot of times, what I've found is it's like kind of the opposite, where the person who you're showing concern for can turn into the clingy one, right? I've been on both sides of that one before. But yeah, I guess it depends. And you know, sometimes it takes taking a step back and just allowing people to, you know, come to you, to be open, but not not showing your concern in a way that where you're always up in their business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does that make sense? Because you're absolutely right. That can be really annoying. And, now that I think about it, there's a lot of people that I know who have also done that, where they're always asking the questions, how's this, how's that, blah, 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 blah. And they just care, but, they're always up in your face about it.
Yeah.
Right. So
I find
how do you,
a lot of times, well, yeah, go on.
Ryan, you're the expert. So like,
Well, I was just gonna say, I feel a lot of the times, the people who, I'm not saying this about you, Anonymous, by the way. This isn't a blanket statement. This is just a experience. A lot of times when someone is annoying because they're concerned for someone, being too clingy, for example, usually that person is the person who's doing the clinginess is usually someone who has um, um, how do I say this? Um, in their head, they're worried about that person and how they're attached to them. How do I say this better? That person wants the other person to want them,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So it's like if I am coming to someone and I'm kind of like concerned about them and showing my concern, but being a little bit over the top with it, a lot of times it's because my concern is how there is my concern. I've got two concerns. I'm concerned about how they feel, but I'm also concerned about my relationship with them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also concerned about how they think about me, how they feel about me.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure that they still like me or that they still want me around or whatever, like that the relationship is fine or whatever. And some people need that constant reassurance. I'm not saying that this is you, Anonymous, by the way, because it could be the opposite, and that you've experienced this before, and now you're wary of it because other people have done this to you, or any other number of things. But in my personal experience, one thing I would look out for is like, am I concerned? Be am I concerned about being annoying because I'm worried about my relationship with this person and how they see me? If that is a concern of mine, I would have to kind of, I mean, Joe would be a great example of this, um, of someone to follow in this regard.
Oh, I was gonna
Just
say
love them.
a good.
Like
I was
literally
gonna say
just
Joe's a great example of how to mess this up. Oh my gosh, how did I get
no,
blurry?
no.
Weird.
Yeah, that's the same time happened, but there you go. It's all right.
All right.
Um,
Yeah,
you
call me
know,
annoying. Call me annoying. See what happens.
no, no, no. I was saying Joe's a great example of this, and he's talked about it many times before. If you just actually love the person and you stop thinking about yourself, a lot of times the way you carry yourself, the way you discuss the problems with the person just clears up everything. And all of a sudden it's just like you're not annoying, you're not clingy, you're not doting, everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Just because now your focus isn't self-oriented and worried about how you're interacting with them. Because you're so entirely genuine about your concern for them that you are also aware of like you're aware of what they're going through, but you're also aware that they are currently going through something.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna need time,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's like you talk to them and you're like, hey, how's everything going? Blah blah blah, and then you say, hey, I know that you're recovering. I'm gonna get out of here unless you want me to stay, but it seems like you need some rest. So go ahead and make sure you get some rest. You know, different things. You'll come off a lot differently if you're again, this isn't a blanket statement, but it seems to me a lot of times people who come across as clingy, they're actually clingy because they have an emotional attachment to the way that person thinks about them.
Mm.
And they don't want to damage that. And they want to do everything in their power to make sure that they don't mess up. And that makes people act weird because they're really worried about not messing up.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's you. Again, not saying it is. But either way, I think the appropriate response is just to be concerned, show that concern, and then allow that person the space. Just be like, hey, you know, be up in front with them with your thoughts of like, hey, I don't want to be annoying. I'm just gonna, I'll get out of here if you don't. Not like if you don't want me around, because that sounds really negative and like you're self-centered and you're really concerned about your relationship. So that's not really a line that you would want to use, but more so like, I want to see you get healthy again. I should give you your rest. It's a really easy line to say or to point to, like, hey, rest up, rest well. It's a really easy line to allow them to say, thank you, we're done with the conversation, and however they want to say it. And sure up the conversation and end it. Mm-hmm. Or if they want to keep you around because they're relying on you or they really enjoy your company and that helps them recover, right? Which could be the case, and that's a lovely thing. So don't snuff that out. They might respond with a, "Oh no, it's fine. Just you stay around. I enjoy your company. I'm not doing anything anyways. I'm just here in bed and resting, and I can't fall asleep. So, things like that. So I guess it's kind of simple, but I know that conversing that way might be a little weird or different, but just finding ways to communicate that allow them to make decisions for themselves is good. And yeah, that's what I'll start with. Maybe I'll clear that up a little bit or clean it up a little bit in a few minutes. But anyways, I'm going to give it over to Joe.
Oh, already?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. You caught me off guard.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
I was enjoying my mushroom forest.
Oh man, your mushroom forest is awesome. I enjoy it too. I enjoy it from afar, but
it is. It's a great mushroom forest. No, I think you've got it. And Ryan, you nailed it. And Kawhi also in the chat, you said too much self-awareness. Just act naturally. Speak what's on your mind. Yes, to some degree, I would say that absolutely too much self-awareness, because this is a job. This is an inside job, right? How do you do this? How do you show concern for someone without doting, being clingy or annoying, without doing all that kind of stuff? It's an inside out job, right? You start with what's in your heart. And what's your concern here? Like Ryan was just so he explained it so well that, like, what are you here to do? Are you here to care for that person, or are you here to feel good about yourself in the relationship? What's your focus?
And it can be both at the same time, but that's not helpful because now you're focusing on two things and you can't be fully devoted or
exactly
to actually serving them.
Exactly.
You're divided.
Yep. So what's the point? Now, I know people, it's very interesting because I know people who, how do I put this? Okay, so my kids go to a school and, I've met all kinds of parents and I've seen all kinds of parents and I've seen all kinds of different stuff, right? There are parents that care about their kids, that care deeply about their kids, and they love their kids. And I think when you're a parent, you kind of can't help it unless something bad happened or whatever, right? But like, I don't know. I mean, I remember when my kids were born, and it's just like, I can't not love my kids, right? Like they're a part of me, it's crazy. But anyway, I see parents who are more interested in their own parenting than they are in their kids. So here's the question I have for you, Anonymous. Like, are you more concerned about their well-being? The person's well-being that you're caring about, that you're trying to show concern for? Are you concerned with their well-being, or are you concerned with how you appear
Mm.
Right? That's the question. So, and once you get that right, a lot of this stuff is just going to flow naturally. You won't be clingy. You won't be annoying. You won't, it's just because you will show a genuine concern, and you're not going to be, like worried about, am I showing enough concern for them? Am I looking like a good friend? Am I looking like a good family member? Am I appearing to be that, and so like I can always tell, like, you just have a little conversation with people and you can tell if their kids, like, I'm getting back to the parents thing, right? You can tell if their kids are what's important to them or if them being a good parent is what's actually important to them. And it's the focus. It's who's it about? Is it about the kids or is it about the parent? And you can take this and apply it in this situation too. Like, who's it about? Is this about you or is this about them? Right? I did get, it was crazy. And I didn't realize I was good at this, Ryan. I appreciate you pointing that out. I had Tony, one of our newest artists at BSS, pointed out actually a few weeks ago when I went and met him, and he kind of treated it like an audition. He was singing and he was playing piano and all this kind of stuff, and he was showing me what material he had, that we could release and do all this kind of stuff, right? And I was there and his wife was there, and I've known his wife for a long time. She's been my coach for a long time, and then she introduced me to him, and whatever. But he said to her, he was like, this is really like, when I'm performing, I don't feel nervous when Joe's here. And really I should. Right? But I feel really comfortable. Like, and that was a really, really big compliment for me, because it was like,
Yes,
that's what I'm going for. I'm not there for me. I'm there for him. So really, how do you do this? How do you not be clingy and annoying and all this kind of stuff? You do it for them and not for you. You take the focus off of yourself, because honestly, like Kawhi said, too much self-awareness, right? Oh, Kawhi, thank you. I have that good dad energy, man. It means a lot. You have no idea how deep that goes. That's like, man, I could tell you some stories. But totally lost my train of thought. Oh, you're thinking about yourself too much. Right? We all do it. We all tend to do this. We're all self-centered. It's part of the human condition, right? So we fight our self-centeredness. We fight our own, I remember reading the book, The Art of Loving by Eric Fromm. Tremendous, tremendous book. What he said was, the art of loving is the act of overcoming your own narcissism. Because we all have some. We all have that self-preservation part. It's kind of hardwired into us for survival, right? To survive, to thrive, to do all these kinds of things, right? But the more we overcome that, the better we get at, letting go of ourselves and taking the focus off of ourselves and putting it onto the other person and truly helping them. Then the better we're going to be at loving them, the more comfortable they're going to feel when they're there. All of these things. It's just going to naturally flow out of you. It's about being less self-conscious. So, if you find yourself struggling, or if you find yourself being in that situation, now there are times when we can have somebody and it can kind of become an obsession in our mind. And so we have to then, in that moment, what I would say is find some other people to help. because you're being held hostage by your own brain and this person, right? If you find yourself in a situation where you are being clingy or you are being too annoying or whatever, find somebody else to pour some of this energy into. That was another thing Tony asked me about. He was like, so how do you not go crazy? And I'm like, dude, I just have lots of different artists that I talk to, that I deal with, right? And like everybody knows that I work with lots of different artists. And so it's like I will get to you as soon as I possibly can. I love you and I want to help, right? But like I've got lots of other people that I'm working with, and so I will, when I'm with you, and I will pour my heart into what we're doing, right? But I'm also doing that when I'm with another artist. I'm doing the same thing with them. Right? And the same amount of focus, the same amount of energy, the same amount of heart, the same amount of love that I'm giving you, I'm also giving to one of your contemporaries here. Right? And it's understood. And so that's one of the things. Like, if you want to not be clingy, maybe you need to find more people to help. Maybe you need to find somebody else to focus on. But it starts with shutting yourself off. Shutting you, like the focus on you, taking that, switching it around, and focusing on that other person. And genuinely being concerned about their well-being, rather than do you appear like you're concerned enough for their well-being? Am I making a deposit into this relationship so that they will think that I care? No, what you got to do is just care. And whether they believe it or not, that's on them. That's not up to you. It's crazy. It's crazy. I remember hearing this thing, like I remember this great, great saying. Your opinion of me is none of my business. What you think of me is none of my business. Like, I don't care what you think of me. I'm just telling you, I'm going to come here and I'm going to be genuine, and I'm going to do what I can to serve. I'm going to do what I can to help. I'm going to do what I can to love you. If you don't like it, well, fine, but I don't. And if you want me to go, then tell me to go. I got lots of other things I can do. Right? No problem. But what comes into is like, a lot of times if you're being clingy, it's because you're being clingy. I've been that way before too. It's okay. These are things we
I've been there before too.
Yeah, we got to examine ourselves, right? We learn to examine ourselves and make these changes. But I'm telling you, like, that's really at the heart of this matter, is where's your focus? Where's your heart? Are you concerned for them and their well-being, or are you more concerned with how you are appearing to them? And I tell you, we care about our appearances so much in this day and age. Now that we're partying like it's 2023, right? Even though it's 2024.
Maybe we looked better in 2023.
I certainly did.
It's only 1 year ago.
Actually, no, wait, I didn't. I looked exactly the same.
Well, yeah, you've always been 29, man.
Right? You got it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know. I think that's my shtick. So, Ryan, back to you.
Yeah. One thing I just want to kind of go off of what you were saying. Your question here is, how to show concern for someone without doing or being clingy or annoying. You can't control how someone feels about you. What is annoying? Annoying isn't objective, it's subjective, right? If you find something annoying, that doesn't mean everybody finds that thing annoying. I mean, I am 100% positive you have found things annoying that other people don't find annoying. Um, we've all done that. And for me, at some point in my life, I recognized annoyance is a lack of tolerance. And if I can learn to be more tolerant or accepting of people, my ability to fend off my annoyances, because I don't have to feel annoyed, increases. And so annoying is completely subjective. It's a one person's opinion. And you can't control how other people think about you. All you can do is be your best self, and other people will make judgments.
Mm-hmm.
Can you control how other people think about you? Yes, to some degree. To some degree, yeah. Like, how are you treating them will change how they feel about you. Yeah, of course. Um, but in the end, in the grand scheme of things, you don't actually have full control over that. In fact, a lot of times they don't even have full control over it.
No. A lot of times they're being told, they're being coached, they're being taught what to think about you. Like there's all kinds of stuff. There's rumors and gossip and all kinds of stuff, right? And people
Sure.
get a complete idea of who you are.
Yeah.
And it may be
Yeah.
completely wrong, but it's biased because somebody is mad at you and so they're talking about you, right? And yeah.
Hmm.
So you can
Yep. Yeah,
sometimes you'll
absolutely.
go up against
And it can
that.
work in the other direction too.
Mhm.
You have really good feelings about someone because everyone else has elevated the person. But yeah. Um, so I would say just to kind of stick in what Joe was saying, you can't completely control how other people think about you. So if you're worried about being clingy or annoying or doting too much, I would say you have no good reason to worry about that kind of stuff. It's all right. Just be caring. And what are some things you can do that can facilitate a positive experience for other people, that can facilitate good feelings about who you are, that will allow them into your life better? Because the point of, like, here's the thing, the point of having other people look good on you is not necessarily for your benefit. It should be for their own benefit.
Mm.
That's really how you should think about it. If people think good about you, it's not for your benefit, it's for theirs. Because
Mhm.
if they think good about you, it allows you to access the inner parts of their life to make better improvements on it, or to enact into those places, to be their friend. Um, because I mean that's what you get out of that experience. You don't actually get much out of other people liking you, other than what actions take place because of it, what personal relationships you have because of it. And a lot of that, first of all, isn't up to you. And second of all, like, just because someone likes you more doesn't change who you are inside. Who you are inside is going to be what you deliver to other people. And if you're worried about how other people see you, then what you are inside is someone who's worried about how people see you. And that comes across.
Mhm.
And that's not really attractive, because those kinds of people are focused on themselves, and they might not be very useful as a friend. I don't mean to, like, to say use your friends, but you kind of get what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that you're a bad friend. I'm not saying any of this is entirely true to you. I'm just saying the different experiences I've had in my own life and seen in other people's lives that can be a warning sign, or a a guide to you or to people you know. And I mean, you could literally be asking this for somebody else, but my point is, if you if you worry about how you appear to other people, you're missing the point of socializing, because you could appear super awesome and successful to other people and they can still treat you like crap. You could appear super attractive and pleasing to people and they like you. And then you say, okay, well, that means they'll treat me well. It doesn't. It doesn't. People could think the world of you and still not treat you well. People could think the world of you and maybe they'll be more inclined to treat you well. But if that's what you want out of all your social engagements, then again, I think it's like we're missing the point of the social engagement. Because the social engagement isn't about you, it's about your experience with them. Right? It's about them when you like if you have a conversation with someone and you're constantly thinking about yourself while having a conversation with them, it's usually not a very good conversation. But if you have a conversation with someone and you're focusing on them and you're listening to every word they say and responding and you're engaging with them, that usually leads to a really good conversation and a great, a great sort of relationship and the kinds that we want in life. So, yeah, I would say don't be too concerned. Don't be concerned about if you're appearing clingy. Don't be concerned if you're annoying. Because none of those concerns actually help you to be and facilitate that relationship that you're seeking with them. So I'm just reinforcing what Joe's saying. And you can absolutely do those things. Just focus on them, care about them. Say, hey, I want to be here for you. Is there anything I can do for you? And if they say no, then there you go. Respect them. Say, I just want to be here for you. Is there anything I can do for you? Mm-hmm. And if they say, no, there's nothing you can really do for me, then that's okay. That's okay. Or if they say, or if you know them really well and you know they always say no to those kind of questions, you can kind of push a little bit so that you can help them get over themselves to allow you to help them. Yeah. But in order to know those things, you have to have a relationship with them that allows you to recognize it, right? And that's built on actually engaging with them without being so trapped by yourself. That's you learning who they are on a deeper level. So, yeah, just be genuine, kind, loving, and do all the things that are said in the chat. All the good ones.
Yes, all the good ones. There. There's plenty of good and there's plenty of messing around too going on.
Yeah, don't worry about the stuff that's messing around in the chat. You can do those. You can mess about in the chat if you want. Go for it. You can do that too.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yep. Hey, it's fun. Yes, 4 boxes of squeezed cheese. I take 4 boxes of squeezed cheese.
Is that included in the box method of breathing?
Box breathing? Yes. Inhale, exhale, squeeze cheese. Inhale, exhale, squeeze cheese. Squeeze cheese.
Well, that's a triangle.
Every time you hold your breath, squeeze cheese. Right? Inhale through the nose. Squeeze cheese for 4 seconds.
Exhale to the nose. Squeeze cheese for 4 seconds. Yep. Or is that consume?
I don't know, maybe, yeah, you probably gotta take the time to, consume it. You gotta swallow it.
Yeah.
Or else you snort the squeeze. No, you're not gonna snort the squeeze cheese.
So the squeeze cheese box breathing method.
And cats. I saw what you said. I don't need to be a cop to tase you, and I would tase you anyway.
I'll tase you, bro. Don't tase me, bro. Don't tase me. Why? Why are we tasing each other?
Kat said, I feel like Joe would tase me if he was a cop. Yeah, right up there. I feel like Joe would tase me if he was a cop. I don't need to be a cop for that. All I need is a taser.
That's true. And your physical presence.
Yeah.
Unless you have like a really awesome taser that like straps into a satellite and beams down.
Maybe I do. Maybe I have developed that technology.
Watch out. Joe is...
No, that's
Joe's
not.
Got more power than
not being attacked. That's not being attacked. That's just being tased. Who said anything about attacking anybody? Like, no, that's no.
It's not a threat. It's a promise.
Yeah. All right. You thought I was the BSS punching bag. I am. But I punch back.
Oh,
Or maybe I'm the bag that punches you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or maybe you punch the bag and it creates a perfect, electrical circuit and you get zapped.
Yeah. That works too.
1 exhale, 2 squeeze cheese, 3 inhale, 4 swallow.
I feel like
that
I feel like
method.
you want to flip the exhale and inhale.
I would do it the way
because
Salave
if you
said
put the squeezed cheese in and then inhale, you might choke on the squeezed cheese. And so, like, if you put it in there and exhale, at least you're not going to choke. You might spit some out or whatever. But
I don't know. I could do with a little bit of squeezed cheese in my lungs.
Well, go for it then, man. I ain't going to stop you.
You make a good point, though. I didn't really think about that.
Hey, you've successfully cleared a drain. Good job, August. I'm so proud. Hey,
that's a win for
win.
I would say that's a big win.
Yep.
Way to go.
All right. Well, hey, thank you guys for being here. Did you have anything else about that topic? Because I was done.
No, I don't think I do.
So, yes.
Yeah.
Really just depends on what's in your heart. And that goes for a lot of life. What's in your heart, guys? What's going on in there?
True.
It's okay to be emotional. It's okay to have emotions. It's okay to, express your emotions in a productive way. And figuring out how to do that is some of what we do, And so feel free, if you have a topic you'd like us to discuss, you can go to don'tworrywednesday.com. You can click the submit a topic button and you can fill out the form and you can totally do that. And we'd be happy to have your topics. We love you guys. That's why we do this show. We're going to keep doing this show because we're going to keep loving you. How about that?
That's great.
And we're talking actual love, like real love.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking. I love you too, Zay Clan Media. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. We love you. You're all amazing.
Not talking about fake love. Not talking about other forms of love that are selfish in nature. We're talking about love.
Oh, yeah. That's good. I like that kind.
Yeah, it's good.
You better love her, else.
That's right. Right on. And we're going to love you with anger wrapped around it in a brick.
Whoa. And a sock.
A sock. A brick and a sock.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's going to be good.
Oh, yeah. Real good. Real good. Love right there. What?
Yes. I love you.
I'm going to love you. The right way. Oh, my heart. A brick and a sock.
Yeah, with some butter.
That sounds horrible. This is a horror movie. Okay, we're done. That's literally like the script for a horror movie or something.
Probably.
And one based on a real account.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But all right. Well, hey, thank you guys for being here. We've loved spending this time with you guys. We love it every week. And so come back next week. And we will do another Don't Worry Wednesday. Until then, have a wonderful, wonderful life. And remember that we love you. Go to don'tworrywednesday.com and fill out the thing if you want to submit a topic.
Yes, please.
You want to. I know you want to. You want to.
Yeah,
yes. Yes.
All right.
Yes, it was great to see you all. We will talk to you next week on Don't Worry Wednesday. Until then, we love you. Bye-bye.
Come back next week for some more love. Peace.
More love with a brick and a sock and butter. Squeezed cheese and a taser.
We'll see what it is next time. Oh, yeah.
And padded walls and grippy socks and a straight jacket. All of that. Yes, it's going to be great.
That's amazing.
All right. Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.